Here we go, the crowd's starting to thicken up, and there is an awesome start line in front of you. Not a lot known about Bevan. He came back recently in Perth in a St George Tour race and came second to Andrew Johns, and that was a very good performance. Johns, of course, has not only won there, but he's won at Wyong in the St George Tour. He was third in Devonport. He's been in excellent form, Mark Dragon, and so have a few other guys. Mark Lees, it's great to have him back, and he is looking great. Well, yes, as you mentioned, Mark Lees a couple of years ago was set to retire, but he's made a spectacular return. In fact, beating Greg Welsh in Laguna Phuket just recently. Mark Fuels on the beach with a very special guest here this weekend.
Well, I certainly am. I'm Phil Anderson, who is a Commonwealth Games cyclist, medalist, and also finishes. And Phil, you've also been dabbling recently.
Yeah, I do a few short course, just Olympic distance triathlons over there in Victoria. But not quite to the level of these boys, but certainly looks a lot of fun, and I wouldn't mind getting out there myself.
Well, we'll let you start the race, and we look forward to your comments in the transition.
Great.
Phil Anderson there, a legend in the world of cycling. And in about 15 seconds, he'll start this race today. And don't forget, in terms of cycling, the big Down Under Tour coming your way on Network 10 very soon. There's Phil, still in great shape, and getting ready to get them underway for 1999. A little sprint across the sand flat here, and then it'll be pretty much straight into a swim, not a lot of waiting. It drops off fast enough to be able to get these men into a stroke pretty soon on the Blue Haven swim leg. Frances McDonald, this will be a critical part of the race.
It certainly will, and Ben Sanson, the former French national swimmer, has hit the lead already. He's superbly waded across that bank, which was quite tricky actually, a few holes there. Andrew Johns had a great start as well. He's coming up into the next pack, and I can see over on this side of me, Matt Reid is coming up. He's actually in front of Ben Sanson at this stage. He's a wild card from New Zealand, showing some great swimming style, heading towards the first turning can, and right up with him it's Ben Sanson. Well, look, that's just a pack, Bill. You can hardly call it. There's arms and legs going everywhere.
Matt Reid, one of the biggest men in the field. When he gets out of the water, you'll be able to see that. He's awesome. Shane Reid's younger brother, and one of the guys who could do something here. And I mentioned the swim being critical, because a lot depends on how close they can get to that man Bevan in this leg. Stewart, Johns, Robertson, Bennett and Atkinson. And Chris Hill also a factor, but again, he needs to swim well. Maxwell, Rahula, Sanson will be up there, of course, but he needs to ride and run well. Lota Leader had a very good race here last year in his debut in St George Formula 1, so watch for him. Loch Volmerhouse, not too sure about his form going into this, but he's been training well. The current World Junior Champion is Tim Don of Great Britain. We're pleased to have him out here, but whether he's ready for this type of racing, we're about to find out. Craig Watson from New Zealand, likewise. Watch for Lees, he's on the comeback and in a big way. And there we see Shane Reid, Matt's brother, with Ryan Carter, one of the number of juniors in this race, along with Bryce Quirk, and Brad Carlefeld. Very late entry to the field, but a promising talent from New South Wales.
Sanson now, Bill, has gone to the front. You see him there in the royal blue. No wonder, of course, Matt Reid was up there. He's about 6'7", so he can wade across the bank very, very quickly, as he did. And both the Reid brothers come from swimming backgrounds, very good swimmers. A host of gold caps there. I'm sure you've got Bevan and Hill there.
There's the course map. We see the swim leg is quite a long rectangle. Goes out for 500 metres, just one circuit of that. They come back and they'll ride along Jetty Road, onto Collie Terrace, and then onto the Anzac Highway. And that is an S-shaped course, and inside that will be the run leg. It just goes up Jetty Road and along Collie Terrace, and that will be a 3-kilometre run, but they do it all twice. It's swim, bike, run in the enduro format, and this is one for the books. Normally Ben Sanson has this leg to himself. There it is, 500 metres. No matter what the distance, Ben is usually dominant. 10 laps of the 14k bike leg, and then 6 laps of the 3k run. They do it all twice. Matt Reid, the man on your screen. Quite a surprise here. No, as a matter of fact,
it is Sanson, I think, Bill, out in front. He's in the royal blue. Matt Reid's in the black, who may have dropped back slightly. We've got a couple of the Aussies up there. I'm sure Frances McDonald will see them. If Frances is out there, she can call them for us coming around the can.
Just coming around the second turning can at the moment, Ben Sanson has a handy lead from Courtney Atkinson. Fantastic swim from Courtney. He's been right up in the leading pack from the start. Next, coming around the can, wouldn't you know it, Brad Bevan. Up-rating stroke he has. Very quick through the water, that small frame. Matt Reed's dropping off a little bit. In that next group, we can see Chris Hill is in that group, and also Shane Reed, Matt's brother. So the Reed brothers are putting in a great swim, but back to the lead, Ben Sanson. He's missed a bit of racing this year, was injured with a stress fracture in his hip, but that hasn't affected his swimming. And guys, I don't know whether you can tell from the camera angles from up there, but it's very choppy out here. A lot of swell to contend with.
Yeah, you can swallow a few buckets of water out there, there's no doubt, no matter what your experience. Well, Ben making a much better start of the series than I have, but he's going great out there. And again, one of the few guys in this field who it's very hard to get a form line on because they've done a lot of training and not a lot of top-level racing. There's a few guys in the field who've tuned up for this with some lower-level sprint victories, and it's very difficult to get an idea on just how well they're going. And even some of the athletes have admitted they don't even feel that great going into this race. They're just not sure how well they're going to perform. One of those is Greg Bennett, and I think he's been a quiet tip to do well in this, but even Greg's not too sure.
Well, Bill, a lot of them, as you mentioned, been doing short races. Chris McCormick's been doing a few of the little races down in Kurnell. I know that Miles Stewart beat Courtney Atkinson in a sprint race up on the Gold Coast recently. This chop is going to help the swimmers, no doubt about it. Ben Sanson is motoring away here. It's only 500 metres, so we're not expecting any huge gaps, but it makes a big difference into transition and out onto the bike. The chop will certainly affect them in the second swim leg. They have to, of course, do this all twice, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. It's Sanson and then any one of 20.
Sanson's actually extended his lead into this shore break, and it's going to be very important if he can pick up a wave here. Matt Reed's dropped off a bit. I think that's a sign to show he may be lacking a little bit in fitness. But when you talk about fitness, that man Brad Bevan is coming through right up with Courtney Atkinson. They're the second swimmers coming, and Ben Sanson has just stood up, starting to duck dive, and will make his way up to the transition area first.
Well, Matt shouldn't be lacking in fitness. I mean, he qualified ahead of Shane, but his recent performances, he was 8th in Perth on the St George Tour, 3rd in Wyong. His form was actually a little better about 2 or 3 months ago, but we'll soon see. Sanson with a big lead, and once again a big deliver as well. There's a heck of a pack behind him. Miles Stewart also had an excellent swim and is doing very, very well in the run up the beach. But they will form one big bunch on the bike, and Ben will probably be better served by not holding on to that lead for too much longer.
Well, we had Chris Hill, Courtney Atkinson, there's Greg Bennett, we had Miles Stewart, we had Shane Reed, and we had Andrew Johns. There was a bunch of athletes just behind Ben Sanson. Here he is coming into transition. If I was Ben, I'd try and get a little bit of a hurry up because the others will be on his hammer very quickly.
Courtney Atkinson, Chris Hill, the professor.
Courtney Atkinson had a great swim. He's coming in there now on the right of your screen. Chris Hill, great swim too. There's Miles in the forefront. Brad is in that bunch. A couple of guys took a wrong turn there. You see them heading in backwards. Miles out quickly. And this is where Miles can take charge because his bike skills are excellent, particularly in this criterium style ride. And Miles will probably be one of the first ones to take this pack up to Benjamin Sanson. Don't give Ben too much longer out there on his own.
No, he doesn't even look to be going hard, Bill, to me. Looks to be sitting up just waiting for the pack. Unusual tactics for Ben. I don't know why this is the case, but he is waiting. You can tell there he's really not stressing, really not. His revs are very low, but the pack's going to work hard. Looks like Courtney Atkinson was up there. There's a host of guys, about 10 guys, and they'll get together and work real hard. Miles Stewart, as usual, smooth and quite swift transition. I didn't notice Chris McCormick up at the front, world champion from 2 years ago, but you can see behind about 20 athletes, and there's no doubt about it, they will form a big pack and swallow Ben Sanson up quite quickly.
Ben Sanson out on his own. And Stewart is one of the chasers. Bevan's up there too. Courtney Atkinson with a mini break, but he's not doing too much with it. Levi Maxwell.
And Brad Bevan, always present, always there, somewhere near the lead. Brad doing just a great job, as he always does.
In this event last year, Miles won from Greg Bennett. Brad was 3rd. He then went on to win everything else in the series and take charge, and you can drop your worst result of the 5. So Brad virtually had a clean sweep last year in that sense. Trent Chapman not in the series this year, he's injured. Likewise Greg Welch, but Peter Robertson, another one to look forward to seeing in the run leg. He finished 6th here last year. Andrew Johns finished 7th here last year, but is in tremendous shape going into this event, so we expect better from him.
Well, looking behind Ben Sanson there, who doesn't look to be doing anything, it's Courtney Atkinson and also young Levi Maxwell, the youngsters who are pushing the pace. Levi on the right, and here's Miles Stewart moving up. Miles sits beautifully on a bike, doesn't look like he's working.
So the big pack settling down now. They're reeling Sanson in. There's the second pack, and we'll be back with more action from Adelaide in just a moment.